Hey, what is up everyone? Today I'm taking a look at the metal build, Gundam Astray gold frame Amatsu Hana version Hana. So that little flaming logo down there means that this was a Tamashii web store exclusive. This came out in October of last year, that's 2020. So that means this is a little hard to come by, and that means I got this from those fantastic people over at BUYEE. So if you're looking for harder to get Gundam kits, Gundam figures like this, then check out that link down there in the description. Now let's check it out. So before I actually get into the figure itself, I'm going to give a bit of a brief explanation about metal build, just in case you're not that familiar with it, because this is the first time, believe it or not, that I've ever featured a metal build Gundam on the channel. So essentially this is made by Bandai Tamashii Nations, and it's essentially like the master grade variant of a robot Tamashii figure, to put it in a very loose and kinda wrong kind of way. Basically, it's around 1/100th scale, like master grade Gunpla, but it is an action figure, and as the name suggests, metal build, it's got a metal internal frame. So yeah, pretty much 1/100 action figures with a metal internal frame. And one thing that I find interesting about this line is you get to see a lot of particular mobile suits that you never see in master grade, so they'll blend nicely in with your master grades, but come at quite a hefty price. So jumping right on into the review and absolutely everything that comes included in the box. So as well as the Amatsu Hana, we also have a full stand action base, a bunch of parts for using with the action base and various weapons. We've got some alternate hands, not including the two that are attached on it already, and a whole bunch of weapons that have tongue twister names that I will leave till the accessories part of this video. Now first off, let's check out the Amatsu Hana itself. So now jumping into the aesthetics, and there's the Gundam Astray gold frame Amatsu Hana version Hana up on the shelf, so you can get the full feel of what this will look like in a display. As you'd expect from a big ol' Astray with a big old set of wings, this definitely has some nice shelf presence. It fits in with a collection very well, and like I mentioned earlier on, it will slide in so nicely beside your master grades, especially if you've put a little bit of extra effort into them, which is kind of what this looks like, a master grade with a bit of paint, some detail, and it just comes out of the box this way. Also there it is side by side with the high resolution 1/100 Gundam Astray red frame, just for a bit of a comparison because it was the only seed kit I had around. So anyway, jumping into that full 360-degree spin, and this is with the backpack off so you can see the actual mobile suit itself without anything attached. This is incredible looking. We've got a whole mix of different colors in here, that is matte paint, pearlescent metallic, gold, red, and we have the unmistakable glint of die-cast metal in there too. This looks great. As usual, I will throw up the actual art of the Amatsu Hana on the side so you can compare and contrast for yourself, and all I can say is, this looks astounding. Let's get in a little bit closer. Jumping in a little bit closer now, and this, without a single doubt, is a feast for the eyes. There's so much to see here. Even when you break down to the gold, you've got plastic and metal and multiple shades of gold. Different parts are in plastic, which has a whole different feel to the metal parts, and it just looks so damn cool. The white is also multifaceted because we do have just standard white, some light grey, and some pearlescent metallic silver on top of that. This is all then complemented by some nice red, metallic blue in at the torso, gunmetal, and some very nice detailing, as well as some decals here and there, which look phenomenal as well. The face on this looks killer, and this is one pointy boy. So yeah, Tamashii Nations have really mastercrafted this right here. All the paint apps are perfect, no flubs anywhere. The detailing, especially in the frame round back, is incredible. This is a feast for the eyes. But Tamashii Nations being Tamashii Nations, there are a couple of rough cuts. Well, I can see one. There might be some more, but one I can definitely see. There are some mole lines in the accessories too, but we'll talk about that when we get to them. Otherwise though, pretty awesome. So anyway, jumping into the articulation, and first off I'll mention that build-wise this is, as you'd expect from a metal build, solid as a rock for the most part. A lot of the joints are very stiff, so be careful. Some are not as stiff as others, and I'm not sure if it's because there isn't die-cast parts everywhere. And yeah, that's the second time that's happened. That shoots off a lot, so beware with the front skirting armor. Working from the head down, we've got these little jaw protector gizmos right here. They can move up and down. The neck is double jointed, ball joint up top doing what a ball joint does, and at the bottom it is a hinge. So the neck is pretty much, I guess, normal. At the shoulder now, the joint inside the torso allows the arm to move forward and back just like so, and we also have some up and down there. We've got the full 360 spin here, and there's the arm all the way up and all the way down. This little red segment can move up and down. The front part of this shoulder can disconnect to unlock some moving armor like this, and this front segment right here can rotate all the way around. Full rotation at the upper arm, double jointed bend at the elbow, which is very, very nice. Wrist can rotate at this point, and we've got a hinge inside of the end of the forearm. We've got a little bit of an ab crunch in here, a little bit of a side-to-side tilt, and quite a bit of rotation at the waist. The front skirting armor is on ball joint, so it's mainly rotating up and out of the way. Side skirting armor is only up and down, and around to the back we've got a double premium butt flap. So we've got nothing like a dropping mechanism or anything like that inside of the hips, so the kicks are a little bit limited, I find. There it is all the way up to the front, which is okay. Out to the back, quite limited, and when it comes to the splits, this is as far as they go. Moving down to the leg, and we've got a decent range here. That's double jointed, bends quite a bit. The knee armor moves as it moves, which is nice, and we've got a sliding upper leg armor piece. Pretty cool. Down to the ankle now to test it on the ground, and I guess the Astray doesn't spend too much time on the ground because it can't do much at all. Those big old toes and armor get in the way of each other. Out to the back there isn't much, side to side is quite limited, but when you get it up in the air we do have a nice pointing down toe mechanism. But yeah, on the whole the articulation on here is quite limited. This is my first time taking a look at a metal build, and I know the Amatsu Hana it's based on isn't the newest metal build around, but this is a lot less than I thought I'd be seeing here. Again, it's not the worst, it's about average, if not a little bit above average. It pulls off this pose quite nicely, but honestly, I thought I'd see a bit more. So anyway, jumping right on back to the beginning where we took a look at all of those accessories. Now let's take a look at each one by one, and we gotta start off with those massive wings. So first off, here's the wings, and straight away, absolutely gorgeous looking, just as good, if not better, than the actual mobile suit itself. Attaching these on is simple. We've got a die-cast attachment point here that it pops into two pieces on the back of this figure, so it locks in pretty good. And this does make it very, very back heavy, so that means it's time for that stand. Once again, the stand is very high quality. We've got two arms here. The first one changes the angle so it can move up and down like this. We've got a locking mechanism to allow the stand to extend and retract like this. And finally, a third locking mechanism which allows you to change the angle of the part that attaches onto the Amatsu Hana's butt. So once these are attached, we can check out some of the articulation on here, and these have a lot. Back, forward, up, and down, and the whole thing can swing up like so to give the Amatsu Hana a ridiculously huge wingspan. Underneath the wing then we've got this little segment that pops out with one of the weapons we'll talk about soon. Finally then we've got some expansion and movement at the end of these hook-like wings. So this leads us into the first of the offensive weapons we have in here, and according to the manual, this is called the Magano Shira Hoko, I think that says. Basically, this is a big old spike on a wire. Basically, you pop off the spiky part, attach in the wire, and you can pose it whatever way you like. So next up, we got these three parts here that make up the sword, and this has quite the mouthful of a name. According to the instructions, it's called the Amino Murakumono Tsurugi. So I can only assume this is written in katakana, so I can only assume this means Purple Cloud Rain Sword? Maybe? Anyway, the scabbard attaches onto the butt with an adapter. This sword can attach into the hands. These are rubberized, so you need to squeeze this into the fingers. It holds on quite good. This is what it looks like attached, and for a Gundam weapon, this is over the top, just like the Amatsu Hana itself. When it's not in use, you can then just slide it into the scabbard, fits in perfect, and looks badass. Next up, we've got some more swords. These are the rapier-like Totsuka no Tsurugi. These can be held individually in two hands like so, combined together hilt to hilt like this, so you can have a kind of small glaive, or they can be stored on the side skirting armors, just like this. The next of the weapons we have in here is the Tsumuha no Tachi. This is basically a big old claw, attaches onto the rear of the forearm. We can move this little bit of a knuckle segment and then extend some badass looking, lethal looking claws. Next up, and one thing that's always killed me about the Amatsu Hana and the Amatsu Hana is the fact that to use the next weapon, you need to remove that claw. So this right here is the Okitsu no Kagami. So basically, this is, as you can tell, a big old spear, but it can also slide back, open up, flip over like this to be a shield. Sadly, this particular figure does not come with any of the effect parts for using with this, so, well, it just looks like this. Nice decals though. So next up, and to go with the Blitz arm that it has inherited, we also have a variation of one of the Blitz's weapons, which is the Torikerosukai. So this is made up of a whole bunch of segments. That is the main body of the Torikerosukai, 3 Lancer darts which can attach in just like so, and finally we've got this big old blade-like segment which can slot into it to complete the shield and to complete the Torikerosukai. So anyway, that right there is it for the review, and this is an awesome figure without a doubt, but I have to say, this being on the channel after the Mosho Takeda Shingen metal build style figure is kind of like well, it's like stepping on stage after an absolutely awesome band. It's so hard for it to compare. It's like twice the price and half the size, but it's still very, very nice. There is no master grade of the Amatsu Mina or the Amatsu Hana, which is a big letdown. So in a way, if you want a 1/100 scale Amatsu Hana or Mina with your 1/100 kits or figures, this is kind of your only real option. This is a very solid figure without a doubt, but the wings tend to flop a little bit on me. Besides that though, it is phenomenal. It looks incredible. It's a fully packed figure with all the accessories you could want besides some effect parts which might boost the price. And it can pose extremely, extremely well, especially in the air with those wings. So if you are thinking of getting one, have the spare cash, I say go for it. However, just think about it, would you be better off getting yourself a whole bunch of awesome master grades? Anyway, if you do want one of your own, I got mine through BUYEE, link down there in the description. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. As always, thank you so much for watching. Without you guys, all of this would not be possible, these videos would not be possible, and special thanks to those helping out over on Patreon and on the channel memberships, including Mr. Winter, Joseph Kuklak, Tito Lewis, Gonpla Chef, Bakito Official, Van Fawn, Sean T, Caleb Engelhardt, Brian Perez, Tyler Sanders, and Craig Jury.